Welcome back to the deep dive. You know the drill. You give us the source, we dig in and pull out what you really need to know. And today, well, we're doing something a little different.
We definitely are. Forget the usual reports or scientific papers. Today's source is, get this, excerpts from a children's story. Lulu Bumbleboots and the Melting Cotton Candy Clouds.
Right, and if you think you can't get some serious insights from, fluffy clouds and talking paper airplanes, stick around.
Absolutely. Our mission here is to dive into this really imaginative world, find the smart thinking, maybe some surprising science, and the actual problem solving that's tucked away inside.
Exactly. So let's set the scene first. It all starts with Lulu Bumbleboots, our main character,
Yeah.
and these special clouds. They only show up under very, very specific conditions.
Yeah, it's quite the ritual every Tuesday afternoon, apparently. But only if, and this is crucial, only if the wind blows backwards and the pigeons are wearing rain boots.
Pigeons in rain boots, okay.
That's the signal. That's when the clouds arrive.
And they drift down from CooCooLand, which the story calls the silliest sky place that ever existed. These aren't water clouds either.
No, they're cotton candy, actual cotton candy clouds that float down and tickle the tops of the trees. It sets up this kind of baseline, a wonderfully weird normal.
It does. What's interesting is how quickly it establishes its own rules, its own weird logic. These cotton candy clouds aren't just decoration, they're like infrastructure.
That's a great way to put it, infrastructure. The whole place seems to depend on them being fluffy and, well, cloud-like. It's the status quo.
And like any good story, that status quo gets completely wrecked. Which brings us to part one, the crisis. The day the clouds went wrong.
Seriously wrong, not just a bit off. They were melting, like system failure melting, dribbling, plopping sticky stuff everywhere.
Ink and blue syrup, apparently. All over the place.
Yeah, the source gives this really vivid little detail. One cloud actually sneezed pink syrup right into Mrs. Parsnip's bird bath.
Oh dear. Instant environmental sticky disaster.
You could call it an infrastructure meltdown, yeah. And naturally, this brings out the top authority figure.
Who happens to be the mayor of CooCooLand, and the mayor is...
a talking paper airplane, wearing a top hat, naturally.
Of course. And he's panicking, totally panicked.
He lays out the stakes pretty clearly. He shouts, "Our clouds are collapsing. If they melt completely, we'll fall into the Giggle Goose Swamp."
Okay, that's some serious motivation right there.
Yeah.
Falling into a giggle goose swamp sounds bad.
Definitely bad. But Lulu, she doesn't waste any time.
Nope. Straight into action. She gives the mayor a salute, with her spoon, by the way, and just declares, "Then let's fix your fluffy."
Love that line. Let's fix your fluffy. It just cuts through the panic. Pure focus. And that takes us right into the adventure and, more importantly, the problem solving.
All right, let's talk about how she gets up there. Because it's not exactly a helicopter ride.
No, it's pure CooCooLand resourcefulness. She climbs a floating ladder made of spaghetti noodles.
Naturally. And then...
rides a marshmallow scooter straight up into the sky.
It's just perfect, isn't it? Using what's around you, however weird. It's like finding solutions with the tools you actually have.
Exactly. And once she's up there, she doesn't just guess what's wrong. She goes to the experts. The Cloud Squad.
Right, Cloud Squad. Let's meet them. There's Puffy Pete.
Who only floated in loops. Bit eccentric, maybe.
Then Drizzle Dottie.
Always wore a raincoat, even when it was sunny. Cautious type.
And finally, Sir Swirl-a-Lot.
The fluffiest one. The senior cloud, you might say.
And it's Sir Swirl who figures out the big problem.
He does. He identifies the root cause. The clouds are melting because the sun's just too close, too hot.
Which leads poor Drizzle Dottie to state the awful truth.
Yeah, she just says, kind of sadly, it's the sun.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting from a, thinking perspective. They found the cause.
Right, and it's massive. The sun, you can't exactly move the sun.
Exactly. Most people, most teams maybe, would stop there. Problem's too big, unsolvable, game over. But not Lulu.
And this is a key moment. Why didn't they just try to, I don't know, throw a giant blanket over the clouds or something simple, block the sun directly?
That's a good question. Maybe because a giant blanket would be too heavy, or maybe they didn't have one big enough. It feels like Lulu understands constraints.
Okay. Constraint-based thinking.
Yeah.
She knows she can't get rid of the sun, the source of the heat, so trying to block it entirely might be impossible or cause other problems.
Right. So she has to shift. Instead of stopping the heat, she needs to figure out how to manage its effect, using things they actually have access to.
That's the pivot, reframing the problem entirely, from block the sun to reduce the heat reaching the clouds.
And that's when she pulls out her trusty tool again, her detective spoon, and has the big idea.
The spoon shield.
Yes. She realizes they don't need to stop the sun. They need to bounce its heat away. Like an umbrella, she says.
Made of shiny spoons. It's brilliant. So simple.
Utterly brilliant. Because what's one thing kids probably have a lot of in CooCooLand? Spoons.
Exactly. It's an available resource, and it's reflective. It's modular. You don't need one giant impossible thing. You need lots of little achievable things.
Which leads to the next big lesson here.
No.
Teamwork. This wasn't Lulu's solo mission.
No way. The story makes a point of saying every kid in CooCooLand helped out. They all gathered their shiniest spoons.
It's like crowdsourcing a solution to an existential crisis using low-cost, readily available tech spoons.
It's distributed problem solving. Much faster and probably more effective than waiting for, the paper airplane mayor to commission a giant sun-blocking machine.
So they build this giant floating spoon shield, angle it just right.
And bounce the extra sunshine away.
And it works. Instantly. The clouds stop melting, they fluff back up.
Swirls return, birds stop getting syrup hairdos, crisis averted, ecosystem saved.
Phew. Okay, great story. But now let's do the real deep dive, connecting this fluffy fantasy to, well, reality.
Right, because the source itself helps us here. Lulu keeps a journal, apparently, and she connects the story back to actual science.
Yeah, she talks about condensation, how real clouds form.
She writes that it happens when warm air rises, then it cools down, and the water vapor in the air condenses into tiny water droplets or ice crystals. That's what we see as a cloud.
So how does that link back to the melting cotton candy clouds? They weren't made of water.
True, but the principle is the same. The story uses melting as a stand-in for what happens when clouds get too much energy, too much heat.
Ah, okay. So for real clouds, too much heat doesn't make them melt like ice cream.
No, it makes them evaporate, or sublimate if they're ice crystals. Basically, the heat energy breaks the bonds holding the water molecules together as visible droplets, and they turn back into invisible water vapor. The cloud vanishes.
So from the perspective of someone living under the clouds, like in CooCooLand, the effect is the same. The clouds are disappearing, collapsing.
Precisely. The structure is failing because of excess energy. And the spoon shield. It works because reflecting sunlight is a really efficient way to reduce the amount of solar energy being absorbed.
By angling the spoons, they lowered the heat input, letting the clouds stay cool enough to remain fluffy.
Exactly. It's a playful introduction to energy balance and reflectivity. Cleverly disguised fun.
It really is. Makes the science super easy to grasp. But what about the bigger lessons? Beyond the physics.
Oh, tons. Think about resourcefulness. Lulu didn't need fancy tech. She used a spoon. It shows that sometimes the simplest solution, using what you already have, is the best. Frugal innovation, you could call it.
I like that. And the teamwork aspect, too. Every kid bringing one spoon. It wasn't just cute, it was practical.
It demonstrates distributed effort, tackling a huge problem with lots of small, manageable contributions. Don't wait for one perfect, expensive fix when 1,000 cheap ones will do the job together.
It also highlights that core message, for the kids reading it. Problems might seem huge, but creativity working together can solve them.
Absolutely. Helping others, even if they're, dessert clouds, makes things better. But it's also about activating that collective power, everyone chipping in.
And that initial mental shift Lulu made from how do we stop the sun, which is impossible, to how do we reduce the heat effect? That's the core skill, isn't it?
That is the absolute key. Identifying the real constraint the sun isn't moving and focusing all your energy on the part you can influence. The local environment, the heat exposure, reframing the constraint.
So valuable. Okay, so we've covered Lulu, the melting cloud crisis, the ingenious spoon shield, the science of condensation, the power of teamwork. Wow, who knew?
You really can find deep lessons in the most unexpected places.
And the best part, the story gives you, the listener, a way to try this out yourself, a tangible takeaway.
Yes. Lulu's challenge, the jar experiment. It lets you make your own cloud and see condensation in action.
Okay, how does it work?
Simple. You need a jar, put some warm water in the bottom. That's like your warm, moist air rising from CooCooLand.
Got it. Warm water vapor.
Then you put a lid on the jar, but you put ice cubes on top of the lid.
Ah, so the lid gets really cold.
Exactly. The warm water vapor rises, hits that cold surface, cools down fast, and boom, it condenses. You'll see a little cloud swirling inside the jar.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You literally make a cloud, proving Lulu's point about needing cooling for condensation.
Connects the story right back to real-world physics, right there on your counter. Perfect, hands-on science.
Brilliant way to wrap things up. from saving fluffy clouds to a kitchen experiment. Just one final piece of advice straight from Lulu herself.
Ah, yes, the disclaimer. Just don't eat it. It's not cotton candy. Promise.
Good advice. Always. Thanks for joining us on this particularly sweet deep dive.
We'll catch you next time with whatever surprising source lands on our desk.